Good morning, guys. Today we're going to talk about code. What is code? Code is a way of communicating. This week is called Hour of Code, and it's a week where we encourage people all around the world to learn a little bit more about computer science. How is it that the machines, the devices, the things that we use, how do they know what to do? The answer is that someone has written code for them. Someone has written a programming language that tells them what sounds to make, what shapes to make, what motions to activate. It is learning a different language. Whether you are learning a spoken language like English, Swedish, Mandarin, or a programming language like Python or JavaScript, or a computational language like math, you're learning a way to communicate. This makes it easier for you to get your needs met and for you to understand the needs of others. I'd like you to try learning a little bit about code because it will help you to understand some principles about how the natural world works. We're going to take this a step back and look at basic knowledge you need to know about the natural world and code. Living things are made of cells. The cell is the basic unit of life. Inside cells are the code to make new cells. This code is DNA, and DNA is a macromolecule. That means it's a very large molecule. The basic unit of matter is the atom. Two or more atoms together is a molecule. Lots of atoms together in a big complex configuration is called a macromolecule, and DNA is a macromolecule. So in this microscope, I'm looking at a slide of a piece of pine leaf. And I can see the cells of the pine leaf, and those cells know what they're supposed to be. They know what they're supposed to do. They know these things because they are reading the instructions from the DNA. If I switch out this slide for a slide with a piece of pine stem, the cells look different and they act different because they are reading the DNA that are telling them what they should do. So molecules are puzzles, puzzle pieces that go together. Now, we've talked before about the water molecule. Water molecule is a pretty simple puzzle. It's got three atoms that go together, and that's our puzzle piece, H2O. Not very complicated, but in DNA, you can have a single puzzle piece that is 30 molecules or more, and then you have billions of atoms that are put together that make a larger macromolecule. Human DNA uses 4 puzzle piece molecules. They use A, C, G, and T. We put these into a code that forms the instructions for our entire bodies. Each time a cell or an organism reproduces, it splits, it divides, it makes another of itself. It makes a copy of this DNA. But something happens each time it reproduces that code. Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen and they're a natural part of life. You guys make mistakes, I make mistakes, we learn from our mistakes. But in the case of DNA, you're making a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So sometimes those mistakes can have consequences. Think of DNA like a sentence. Feed the cat. So this sentence is pretty clear. It gives me instructions. I know I will feed the cat. But if that sentence gets copied and a mistake occurs, feed the cat, it's really not going to change the meaning. Most mistakes in our DNA don't change the meaning, and our body's able to figure out exactly what we're supposed to do in spite of the mistake. Feed the cat. Well, that one's confusing. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with that. Some of these mistakes have no consequence but to stop what was supposed to happen from happening. So maybe I won't feed the cat, but I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to sit here confused. Feed the hat. Okay, now this one could have consequences. I'm spending resources on putting food into a hat. That doesn't seem like a good idea. That would be considered a damaging consequence. Feel the hat. Okay, now this one's strange, but it has completely changed the meaning of the original code. Sometimes copies of copies lead to things like this, and we call these mutations. A mutation in your DNA can affect your ability to survive and reproduce. If it's a good thing, it can help you survive. It can help you move on and pass those traits on to the next generation. If it's a bad thing, then maybe it kills you. And if it kills you, it's hard for you to survive and it's hard for you to pass those traits on to your next generation. That's it for today, guys. Go ahead and explore these links to learn a little bit more about DNA and coding.